Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wild Moments brought to you by explore.org. As you can see, I am Lone Ranger today, but I didn't bring my Lone Ranger hat, unfortunately. Then I could have really looked like a Lone Ranger. But you can also see that I'm in the bush, which is pretty exciting. I don't often get to come to you from the bush, do I? But this is really nice. Maybe we'll hear some interesting birds. Maybe we'll see some elephants at the back there. There's a drainage system at the back there, and sometimes the elephants come through. So, of course, you'll have to let me know because I'll be looking at you. So that also means that you're going to have to help me out today because you're going to have to send through lots of questions and comments as we go through our clips. And you can do that because we're live and interactive. So please do chat to us. If this is the first time that you're watching, let us know. We'll give you a great big welcome. And as usual, let us know how you're enjoying the show. We always appreciate all those things. So do send through some questions and comments. Plus, it'll keep me going because I have no friend today. Well, I suppose all of you are my friends. So this afternoon, we're going to go through some pretty cool clips as usual. We're going to have some really nice discussions as usual as well. I haven't seen these clips, so the first time I'll see them is with all of you. Today I have some props because I'm in the middle of the bush and it is pretty hot at the moment. I have some really nice, very cold sparkling water. And I have some insect repellent because I'm being eaten by mosquitoes at the moment. But that's the bush for you. So I'm still pretty happy. I'm happy to be here, even if it does mean that I get eaten by mosquitoes. So what? Anyway, we have a ton of hellos coming through. Casper's Third Ghost, you say, hello, Trishana and everyone from a sunny Milwaukee. You've got your hot coffee ready for some wild moments. Nice. I can't even imagine drinking hot coffee at the moment. Jean Gale, you say good morning before dawn in Seattle. You're here with your coffee. We knew it. Amber Co is around too. Amber Co says, I love Thursday's show. You're waving hello. I'm waving back. You're sipping your coffee and you're sending thanks to everyone that make these shows possible. Thank you so much, Amber Co. April Owl, you say good morning, everyone from Raleigh, Connecticut. You're enjoying some apple fritters and raspberry iced tea sound amazing, and you're happy to be here. That's the most important part. I always say, and the same thing happens to me as well, if I'm feeling tired or down, or I've had a really busy day, or I'm stressed, or anything like that, and I get to do these shows, I always end up feeling energized and excited and just super happy. So I always feel like if I can do that for you during this show, then that's a win. As long as you feel uplifted by the whole experience. Bridget McKinney, you're also around. You say hi, Trishala. Hi, Bridget. Zygote also says hello and namaste. Namaste to you too, Zygote. W. Bouchard, you say good morning from Toronto. Kaoru, you say hi, Trishala. You've got Rice Krispies today. Very nice. I must say, oh, maybe because, I outgrew them, but I feel like the Rice Krispies in the 90s just hit differently. They're not the same anymore. Jan Powers, you say hello, everyone. Hi, Trish, and good to see me in the bush again. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be in the bush again. It is absolutely stunning. Now, if you joined us for the Africam show on Tuesday, we were looking at the different cameras and just seeing the way that the seasons have changed the landscape. And I haven't been back to this property in a while. It's been a couple months, and a lot of rain has come through since then. And you can see it's so thick. I'm just going to tip this down a little bit so you don't have so much of that white sky. But you can see it's so thick. Look at all the grasses and all the trees. There's just so much foliage all over the place, which is also why you need to keep an eye on what's happening behind me, because I can't. Hopefully, maybe our Camp Nyala comes down. His name's Moses, but he was sitting up further up um, earlier today. But he's very cool and very nice. He'll come right near you. You can't touch him or anything like that. He's still a wild animal, and I wouldn't try. But he's not afraid of us. So he's very sweet. Maybe he'll come through and say hello. Scoldus Girl or Scoldus Gal, you say good morning from Richmond, Virginia, and you're enjoying with some green tea. That's a good one too. That is a good one. And Kaoru is very excited about your apple fritters, April Owl. I think we all are. And Mr. HUE, you say today you only have red tea. Oh, that's surprising. I would expect a slice of something sweet to go with the show. And then finally, Dear NC says good morning from Seattle. You're ready with your hot coffee and a donut like a policeman. Very nice. Thanks, TNC. Before we move into our first clip, I can't move on without saying that Bob from Kalamazoo says, good day, Trishala. You wish you were here. Well, I wish I could scoop you all up and bring you to the bush too. So what more authentic experience can you have virtually, except for your host being in the bush and us getting to experience the African wildlife across our Africams together? So how about we jump straight in? And even though I'm here in South Africa, we are going to take a quick journey up to East Africa in Kenya and have a visit to the Eldonyo waterhole, where something really interesting is happening between a lion and a buffalo. So this looks like a buffalo bull. You can see that he's by himself. So that's your first giveaway. Second giveaway is that big boss in the middle of those horns. See how it becomes really thick and it almost looks caked with mud. That's your second giveaway. Now this lion is being pretty interesting. Or lioness, I should say. She's being careful on her approach, but I wouldn't say that she's necessarily, I mean, she could be stalking. She's trying. But it looks more like a very careful approach. And that's because buffalo can cause some serious injury. Look how careful she's being. Oh, that was cool. What I think has happened is she wanted to reach the waterhole to drink. Then she catches sight of the buffalo. She's trying to avoid the buffalo more than anything because she could be tossed up in the air and killed. And remember that she's not with anybody else at this time. So it's just a one-on-one interaction. And when it comes to one-on-one interactions with a buffalo, you are almost always going to come off worse. I'm actually surprised that the buffalo didn't see her. Ah, there's another. Oh, wow. There's another lioness and three youngsters there, it looks like. That's really interesting. I'm surprised that the buffalo didn't see her. Buffalo, like many prey species or herbivores, have eyes that are set on the sides of their heads, so further towards the sides of their heads, and that increases their field of view. But they also tend to have uh, pupils that allow them to really take in that field of view. So they don't really have binocular vision or as much range of binocular vision that gives you really good depth perception. They don't really have that, or not as good as say predatory animals that really need that depth perception because that's how they're able to stalk and catch their prey. So with this buffalo, and I suppose it's something that happens with a lot of herbivores, as soon as you put your head down, I mean, you can try it yourself. If you try to drink from a bowl and you put your head down like this, even though you have binocular vision and good binocular vision and don't have as good a field of view as these herbivores have, you'd still find that your view is restricted. But as soon as the buffalo picked its head up, I would have thought that it would have this really good field of view. But at that point, the lioness was right behind the buffalo as well. So one, I'm surprised the buffalo didn't pick up on her with just its eyes, and also the scent of the lioness. But then again, your nose is picking up the scent, and that nose is right against the water. So it is a vulnerable position for that buffalo to be in. And it was only the single lioness that approached the buffalo at that time. So maybe she was just trying to avoid it. She could also have just been testing the waters because we saw later on that the rest of the pride, or at least another lioness and the youngsters were behind her. But ultimately, it's just going to be if she needed to take down that buffalo or she intended to take down that buffalo, it would have just been her and the other lioness because those youngsters don't really look like they had the skill to be able to help out in the hunt. Yes, once the buffalo's down, they might be able to kind of just jump on, but in the actual hunt, they wouldn't have been helpful. So it would have just been the two lionesses up against that buffalo. And that's not unheard of. Two lionesses could take down a buffalo, but they've got to be quite lucky. And that buffalo bull, the fact that he's on his own, we often call those Daga boys, they're on their own, they're separate from the herd to some extent. They don't totally break out, but they follow the herd at quite a distance. But they tend to be older individuals that are past their prime. But even still, he doesn't look sick and he doesn't look injured. So that would have been quite a feat for the lionesses. I just want to point out one more thing in that video, and I think if we could just first have a look at that first portion where the lioness is coming towards the buffalo, and I just want to talk you through some of the behaviors that I saw there that told me that she's not stalking. And then suddenly she has the type of behavior that shows that she can be stalking. So there she's walking pretty casually. She's not trying to conceal herself. If she was going in for the hunt, she might have rounded the side where there's a little bit more coverage, but there's nothing here for her to hide herself. So she's approaching with a lot of caution, but she's not necessarily hunting. Then she kind of pauses around here, and then she starts doing this. See how she's lifting each one of her limbs over anything that could potentially make a sound. Now she's interested. But now what does she do? How does she call the other lioness? And there we go. Goes down stays so still and then lowers herself very carefully. As how perceptive is this lioness? As soon as that buffalo lifts up his head, she stops. As soon as it looks like the buffalo has is not paying attention to her anymore, she moves off so quickly. Now, can you imagine how quiet she must be if the buffalo cannot even hear her? Now, that's a big animal. It's about 150 kgs, and she's not making a sound. Ah, they're so amazing. So, so amazing. Bridget McKinney, you say that was hilarious. It is kind of funny, right? Because you expect, and like I said, buffaloes can be extremely dangerous for lions. And if they are by themselves, even more so. Because while the lion is trying to conceal itself, it's trying to, essentially, the only interaction it wants to have with a buffalo is one where it gets to eat it, where it gets to hunt, kill, and eat it. But a buffalo is not looking for anything from the lioness. That's that relationship. It's not going to get anything from that relationship. So as soon as it sees Lioness, as soon as it catches whiff of it, it's going to react somehow. Either it's going to run away or it's going to turn around and put those great big horns right towards that lioness and cause massive injury. At the very least, it's going to bruise and batter the lioness and push her away, and that buffalo is going to be able to run away with ease. But I'm so surprised. It is quite funny, Bridget, that the buffalo didn't even notice that lioness. Mindy, you say, I love how the buffalo doesn't seem concerned at all. I mean, that's another thing, Mindy. I wonder if the buffalo did see or notice the lioness, but thought, she's on her own. What can she do? I'm gonna drink my water and I'm gonna leave. And sometimes they do have quite a stubborn attitude. So that's also a possibility. Andy, you say, good afternoon, everyone. Me being late is becoming a habit. You need to start setting an alarm. We agree. We need to start setting an alarm for you. But thank you for joining us. Amber Coe, you say that was amazing. You expected the buffalo to react to the lioness as it got closer. I know, me too. But again, as Mindy said, I mean, it's possible that the buffalo saw and just didn't care. Kaoru, you say that's typical cat behavior. Your cat used to do that. Yeah, stalking is such an innate cat response to seeing something of interest. But in the wild, you see stalking and deliberate avoidance. And sometimes you can't avoid them sight-wise, but you can avoid making too much sound and drawing too much attention to yourself. W. Bouchard, you say this might be a silly question. There are no silly questions. But when I am out in the bush, what is it I'm doing here? So at the moment, I am going to work tomorrow, but for the most part, I'm here to enjoy myself a little bit. Um, I won't be seeing this particular area for a while, so I thought I'd come through and enjoy it before I have to say goodbye. So that's basically it. Most of the time in the bush, I am actually just working. So guiding or doing shows, other wildlife shows. So now it's kind of like a half working, half enjoying myself trip. Um, MG Leopard Spots, you say good morning from the Bay Area in California. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Shall we? On to the next clip. We're still in El Doño, but this time we're watching a different kind of interaction, but also with a buffalo. So here we have two Dagger boys. Oh, and two elephant bulls as well. Well, I'm sure that hurt. Thank goodness those tusks aren't sharpened at the end. I suppose that's one way get someone to move out of your water hole. I suppose it's not helpful that the housing for the buffalo's genetic material hangs so prominently. So at the end of that clip, did you see the way that the buffalo turned around and reacted? That's what I would have expected with the lion there. And then at the end of the clip as well, you would have heard these knocking sounds, and that was the sound of those two elephant bulls fighting. That's the sound of their tusks hitting each other. So I think what was actually going on there is that these two elephant bulls were also having an interaction, and those two buffalo bulls just happened to be there, and unfortunately got a little jab between the back legs, which no one enjoys, I'd imagine. That was that was quite funny. Shame, poor buffalo. They're really getting it today. But as you can see with their attitude, they can, oh, mosquito. They can be very uh, maybe obnoxious is not the right word. Obstinate maybe. But they have quite a stubborn uh what I sometimes call old man reaction. Like they are sure of themselves. Nothing is going to change that. Nothing is going to bother them. But when they are bothered, you are going to know about it. That's what I think of buffaloes. But a very cool clip nonetheless. And now since you're not talking to me, we're going to move on to the next clip. I told you I need my help when I'm Lone Ranger, everyone. Otherwise, I'm going to have to gonna take you for a stroll around here. First, let's get through our clips though. Let's head over to Serendella, which is actually not very far from where I am right now, and have a look at an elephant not being that rough. Oh, hey, baby. I love it when we have this kind of view on the camera. Oh, so small. Look how Mum's kind of flanking this youngster. Mum, are you trying to get it away from the water or towards the water? Oh, you don't know what to do you? These are the uncontrollable bees. I have so many parts and I don't know what to do with them, and I've got very little motor skills. And you hear that Mum is actually quite concerned, and she's trying to rein in her little one. You can see that from the movements of her trunk, but also the deep rumbles that she's making. It's the sound of the water as the baby just runs through. It's too cute. Look at Mum, hyper attentive. Oh no, Mum. Baby is just not giving her a chance. And I suppose this is just quite similar as well to human babies, right? When you're a mum, everything has to happen in drips and drabs. I'm sure, I'm not sure how much water mum has even gotten to drink yet. Goodness me, how much time did they spend at the water hole here? Just, oh, baby, what happened? It just slip and fall. Just flew out of frame. It doesn't look like a newborn. It looks like it's a couple months old, but still not old enough to use its trunk. Sorry, I'm right in there. It's still not old enough to use its trunk correctly. That usually takes either like 8 months to a year for them to get a hold of their trunk. So I'd say it's probably about 5 or 6 months because it's still quite lanky. Its body is not short enough for a newborn. So and it's got too much beans for a newborn. Newborns tend to be very close to mum and not very boisterous. And this one was all over the place. So, how many cute things did you say? It falling out of frame has to be the best thing I've seen all week. I would say all month, but then I saw a seahorse giving birth at the beginning of this month, so maybe not. It's super cute. Look at this. Look at this. Whoop. And mom looks at it like, what just happened? Where did you go? Yeah, I've finally got a hold of my child. Everything's fine. Whoop. Oh my gosh. That is so hilarious. Kaoru, you agree. You say it's so cute. In fact, all of you are saying that. Bridget McKinney, you also say you love baby Ellies. They are so, so entertaining. And watching them develop and figure out how all these things work, how their tail works, how their trunk works, how even these legs work, because they're so lanky and they're just so chunky and they're all over the place. Even these ears, they're flapping. I don't know if I have control over them. There's just so much to learn. And being able to watch and be privy to that experience for that youngster is the most beautiful thing. It's just me, you say, baby finding her place in the world. Exactly. The baby is trying to figure out how all these things work, and that's a really important part of their development because figuring those things out helps that baby to become an adult that is functioning like all other adults. And as you can see, mum is super concerned, or well, maybe concerned is not the right word, super attentive to what the baby is doing. But at some point there, I think mum got a little frustrated, and I don't blame her. Mindy, you say it's a tough lesson to learn. The whole world is not flat. It is a tough lesson, and I suppose we all learned it at one point in our lives. I remember we only have a couple of minutes left, but I'm going to tell you a story very quickly about the way that I found out that all the world is not flat and that perhaps even not stable, even if it looks flat. I was doing a spider collecting exercise at university. And so we had to go through the grass, and basically with these nets, you go in through the grass like this, and you see what you collect up, and then you document what you collect, and you release the spiders. We're specifically looking for spiders. I was just walking, and well, doesn't help that the friend in front of me said, "Careful, Trish, there's a hole." And I said, "Thanks." And then I stepped right into that hole that was about a meter deep. So I was like this, which was very uncomfortable. But I learned my lesson, and I'm sure all of you have learned that lesson too. Bouchard, you say that you love the trunk and the foot actions to keep the baby in line, right? Such nuanced actions, such subtle actions that the mum uses to keep little baby in line. Anyway, we have 2 minutes left. How about, yeah, let's watch our last clip. Let's have a head over to Vic Falls and watch an interesting interaction that I'm really keen to see. Oh, how similar they are in size. Oh, I wonder if the baby warthog almost thought that the vulture is another thing like it. Looks like a similar size. It looks like a similar color. Whiteback vultures weigh about 5 kgs or so. I can't tell you I know what the weight of a piglet at that age or warthoglet at that age would be, but 5 kg is probably not a bad shout. But they tend to be quite dense, so maybe a little heavier. But size-wise, they look really similar, right? I've never seen that kind of interaction, and it reminds me a little bit of an interaction I saw between uh, African penguins and a rock hyrax. Did we not see it together on the cameras? Maybe we did. I'm pretty sure we did. But it kind of reminds me of that interaction where an adult bird is just like, what are you doing? And it's usually a youngster of the other species that comes and approaches it. We do have to say goodbye, but it does lead me to think, at what point in a mammal's development do they realize, or are they able to differentiate what that something else looks different to them? And what does that really mean? Would they have seen each other? Would they assume that they look like their mother? Or is that a completely innate thing that they don't really have to think about? But then how do they only differentiate by thinking that doesn't look like my parent? And at which point does it happen? Because it clearly doesn't happen from the time they're born. Because I've seen youngsters of different mammals species approaching animals that are not their kin, not even they're not their kin, not their species, and then almost only realizing after. So interesting thoughts to be had. Mindy, you said you enjoyed my Giants of Mabula video. I'm very glad that you did. I always enjoy talking about animals and making it interesting. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for sending through questions and comments to help me through my time as the Lone Ranger. I will now hopefully head out into the bush and see what it has to offer, and I'll let you know if there was anything cool next week, Thursday. But for now, thank you so much. Enjoy your day wherever you are in the world, and I hope that you have a little bit of upliftment and a big smile on your face. Thanks for now. Thanks everyone, and goodbye for now.